Jesus said to his disciples, "There was once a rich man who had a manager. He got reports that the manager had been taking advantage of his position by running up huge personal expenses. So he called him in and said, 'What's this I hear about you? You're fired, and I want a complete audit of your books.' The manager said to himself, 'What am I going to do? I've lost my job as a manager. I'm not strong enough for a labouring job, and I'm too proud to beg. I've got a plan. Here's what I'll do. Then when I'm turned out into the street, people will take me into their houses.' Then he went at it. One after another, he called in the people who were in debt to his master. He said to the first, 'How much do you owe my master?' He replied, 100 jugs of olive oil. The manager said, 'Here, take your bill. Sit down here. Quick now. Write 50. To the next he said, 'And what do you owe?' He answered, 100 sacks of wheat. He said, 'Take your bill. Write in 80. Now here's a surprise. The master praised the crooked manager. And why? Because he knew how to look after himself. Streetwise people are smart in this regard, smarter than law-abiding citizens. They are on constant alert, looking for angles, surviving by their wits. I want you to be smart in the same way, but for what is right, using every adversity to stimulate you to creative survival, to concentrate your attention on the bare essentials, so you'll live, really live, and not complacently just get by on good behaviour.
Jesus went on to make these comments. If you're honest in small things, you'll be honest in big things. If you're a crook in small things, you'll be a crook in big things. If you're not honest in small jobs, who will put you in charge of the store? No worker can serve two bosses. He'll either hate the first and love the second, or adore the first and despise the second. You can't serve both God and the bank. When the Pharisees, a money-obsessed bunch, heard him say these things, they rolled their eyes, dismissing him as hopelessly out of touch. So Jesus spoke to them. You are masters at making yourselves look good in front of others, but God knows what's behind the appearance. What society sees and calls monumental, God sees through and calls monstrous. God's law and the prophets climaxed in John. Now it's all kingdom of God, the glad news and compelling invitation to every man and woman. The sky will disintegrate and the earth will dissolve before a single letter of God's law wears out. Using the legalities of divorce as a cover for lust is adultery. Using the legalities of marriage as a cover for lust is adultery.
There was once a rich man, expensively dressed and in the latest fashions, wasting his days in conspicuous consumption. A poor man named Lazarus, covered with sores, had been dumped on his doorstep. All he lived for was to get a meal from the scraps off the rich man's table. His best friends were the dogs, who came up and licked his sores. Then he died, this poor man, and was taken up by the angels to the lap of Abraham. The rich man also died and was buried. In hell and in torment he looked up and he saw Abraham in the distance and Lazarus in his lap. He called out, "Father Abraham, mercy, have mercy. Send Lazarus to dip his finger in the water and cool my tongue, I'm in agony in this fire. But Abraham said, Child, remember that that in your lifetime you got the good things and Lazarus had the bad things. It's not like that here. Here he is consoled and you are tormented. Besides, in all these matters there is a huge chasm set between us, so that no one can go from us to you, even if he wanted to do. Nor can anyone cross over from you to us. The rich man said, Then let me ask you, Father, send him to the house of my father where I have 5 brothers, so that he can tell them the score and warn them, so that they won't end up in this place of torment. Abraham answered, They have Moses and the prophets to tell them the score. Let them listen to him. I know, Father Abraham, he said, but they're not listening. If someone came back to them from the dead, they would change their ways. And Abraham replied, If they won't listen to Moses and the prophets, they're not going to be convinced by someone else who rises from the dead.